see me. I see you. And so it begins. Welcome to session 3, September. It's interesting you say that, Casey. Tonight, in my opinion, I don't like to overemphasize things or build up too much anticipation. Tonight, in my opinion, is one of the most important classes of the year. I have been waiting a year for tonight. And it's funny because something in me kept saying, you're not quite ready, you're not quite ready, you're not quite ready. And I think part of the pressure, honestly, that I have felt like coming toward tonight is that this is my lineage. My direct ancestors walked this road. And so there's like a little bit of anticipation of like, I want to get it right. And I really felt my grandmother and my great-grandmother, who was a very powerful medicine woman, my great-grandmother in particular, my dad's mother's mother, around me today, just saying, you're ready, you're ready. I have been studying the Homeric tradition more generally, and I have so much to tell you. I've been studying the Eleusinian mysteries for about 25 years in earnest. And thank you for asking about how I'm feeling. I think I'll be able to get through tonight. I'm really excited. I am going to take tomorrow mostly off to rest my voice. But there was like a moment where I was like, should I reschedule tonight, because I have a very severe upper respiratory infection. But it was like, no, I don't want to reschedule this. I actually think it's going to energize and heal me. I really do. So I actually anticipate that after tonight I'll be completely better. And so I'm here. I'm ready. I was first introduced to the Eleusinian mysteries during my Wiccan High Priestess training. And I'll tell you something, they really didn't represent it accurately. And so I want to tell you everything I know. I have read probably 20 books on the subject and as many doctoral dissertations. There was actually a time where all I did was read doctoral students' dissertations about Eleusis and the Eleusinian mysteries because there isn't a lot of published work around it. I've read writings in other languages translated to English. And I've even had conversations with professors who teach at different universities around the world. It is one of the biggest mysteries of Western civilization, because the reality is, and especially when you talk to academics, PhDs, people who've studied this all their lives. I only have 20 years of studying it as someone who has a passionate interest in it, right? I wasn't getting a degree in it. It's amazing to me because we don't have a lot of records. There's very little actual information about what happened when this pilgrimage was made. And so if it's okay with you, I'm going to go back all the way to the beginning. Is that okay? Some of you will know bits and pieces of the story. I don't want to bore you, but then some of you are brand new, and you might be thinking, I have no idea what she's talking about. I'm going to have to stop and put lip gloss on 100 times because I'm taking antihistamines and it's drying up my system, so please bear with me. I'm not trying to put makeup on and look cute. I'm just trying to not have dry lips when I'm leading you through an important night. So if I stop and do that, bear with me. Tonight was meant for the embodiment perfume of Demeter and Persephone that a lot of you got. So if you have that tool, that's what I'm going to be working with, in addition to, because we're going to make perfume tonight too. Well, if you know all of this, then this could be something of a review for you. I think for a lot of you, some parts of it will be new. I don't think many of you have studied this in an in-depth way, but some of you have. And so anyway, I might tell you stuff you already know about this tonight. If that happens, so be it. But I don't want to leave anybody behind. So you know me, I always try to really give you all the details so you don't even have to think, and you don't have to do research, and you don't have to have any background information. But the more you know, the more everything I'm telling you will make sense. So I'm so glad. So whatever perfume you want to work with tonight, we do have our tools. All the tools have been shipped. If you haven't gotten yours yet, I apologize. They all have been shipped. And I forgot my incense. I may have to get up and get my incense because I did forget to bring that in. Darn it. I'm going to go and get that right now. I'll be right back because I don't want to have to stop midway. So you stay there. I need incense. Okay, this is the Harmonic Resolution incense, and I think it's a good one for tonight. And then we're going to make our class perfume tonight, not the crafting perfume. We're actually making 2 perfumes this month. One of them is a crafting for next week. So we're not doing the full thing tonight, but when we will make the perfume if there's time. If we don't have time, we'll make both perfumes next week. That's okay too, because tonight's teaching and tonight's journey are really important. So Camelia is asking what tools. So these are all the tools for this month. So this is your candle, then you got your pillar, you got your Harmonic Resolution incense, you got your perfume bottle and the little mini bottles to make perfume with me, and a sari ribbon, you got chipstones, and then you got olive oil, birch tar essential oil, and you got your white pepper essential oil with your olive oil carrier oil, and you got your amulet, which I'm wearing, and if you want to be wearing yours too, you can. I'm also wearing Hecate's key. Hecate is an important figure in our journey tonight, so does that help? And hey, Alexis, it'd be really helpful because I'm going to focus more on the teaching tonight. If you wouldn't mind popping in the notes from the incense, because I saw Tanya asking what's in the incense. And I can read off the list, but I think we have a lot to do tonight. So if you wouldn't mind just popping those into the feed for me, I would really appreciate that. Oh, totally. Kiana's asking if she can use her pomegranate oil from last Samhain. Of course you can. In fact, there's a lot of different tools. We've had a Demeter perfume. We've had a Persephone perfume. We've had, you know what I mean? We have all kinds of tools from the past. So bring your tools forward. This is a great opportunity to give them kind of a new lease on life. No, we are not meeting live tomorrow. I'm going to take tomorrow off to rest my voice, and I'm going to be recording your coaching questions as soon as I can this weekend. It's going to take me about 2.5 hours to record, 2.5 to 3 hours to record all the answers to your questions this month. And so I anticipate that I'll be able to talk for 2.5 to 3 hours consistently, probably by Saturday. And then we'll process that and get that up on the classroom site for you on Monday, most likely. So hopefully that's helpful. So yeah, use Sacred Way, Track, Pythia would be very helpful too. Love that. So whatever you've got is perfect. I love it. And thank you. So Alexis put all the ingredients on there as well. Morgana would be great for tonight. She's a shapeshifter, so her energy is in the mix too. So don't second guess what you're working with, because it's right. Whatever you're choosing is right, and I always will tell you to trust your intuition. Yeah. Okay, good. So I'm going to smudge just a little bit. I do want to remind you really quickly, because I have to, because I forgot to mention this last night. We're playing bingo on Sunday at 5 p.m. Do you know this? So I have in my closet over here like $5,000 worth of prizes. And it's free, and it's not a sale. It's just to come hang out with me and Dave. We're going to drink wine and play bingo with you and have fun from 5 to 7 p.m. on Sunday. We're doing this at our community's request because everybody really liked it. So Alexis will put up the link. You get 4 cards. You should print out multiple sets of cards if you're able to join us. If you don't want to join us, that's okay. But I would love to have you there. It's kind of nice to have soul shifters there. even though it's a public event and there's going to be, people in there who are not from Soul Shift. But it is really nice because I think of you as my family. It's like, it's nice when my family's there. So anyway, there will be absolutely nothing for sale. If I can get my wits about me, I'm going to try to craft a couple of things, some handmade things. There are pieces of jewelry from my personal collection, and then there's all kinds of crystals and magic. So anyway, get your cards early. We have found that to be true. So maybe after tonight's class, go download your cards. I just want to remind you, and Alexis will put the link up for you to get your cards. And let us know if you have questions. I should be fine by Sunday night, honestly. But I have to take tomorrow and Friday. My brother's birthday is on Saturday. I'm really close to my brother, as most of you probably heard me talk about him a lot. My brother is a pretty amazing human being. We're 11 years apart. He's 11 years older than I am. But we've always been really, really close. And he's an amazing soul. Really, really is. One of the things, we have a different dad. I'm my dad's firstborn. And so, my dad has always loved my brother like he's his own child. And they're really close. So anyway, but my brother's the most amazing Libra, vegan, kind, generous human being. So we're going to celebrate him on Saturday. My brother doesn't want to get married. Honestly, my brother would be the best catch ever. He's so smart, and he's so funny, and he's so nice, and he's so easygoing, and he has no desire to be in a relationship. And maybe that's why he's happy. So thank you for wishing him a happy birthday, too. Okay, I'm going to be reading to you tonight, just a little bit, not a ton, from the Homeric hymn to Demeter. I chose, many of you know I have a bachelor's degree and a master's degree in comparative literature, and I actually took 2 graduate seminars on the Homeric hymns. And so I'm going to try not to bore you with the gritty details of what constitutes a Homeric hymn. If you want to know about what constitutes a Homeric hymn, we can talk about it. But I'm really picky about translations of things. A lot of people have translated the Homeric hymns. So I think that Gregory Nagy's translation is a really nice one. Don't try to chase it down. I will post it for you in our Facebook group, okay? So, but this is the one I chose. If you have another, if you've read it and you have another translation you love, will you please share it? I've just read a few translations that I didn't really resonate with. It's about 12 pages to print out. It's really fun to read. I would love to at some point when I'm feeling better. And we have the same mother, my brother and I, just different dads. I would love at some point when my throat is better to actually record this, just to read this to you. I don't know if you'd be interested in that. It might take me a little while, but some of you like to listen to things, and I love to read, and I think this is such a beautiful hymn. And what's interesting is the hymn starts with telling you the story of Demeter, and it ends by saying, "Those who go through the mysteries," which to some extent I'm going to take you through tonight, will have a better chance in the afterlife. Good luck in the afterlife. They'll be blessed in the afterlife. That was supposed to be the gift of going through the process that I'm going to describe to you tonight. It was supposed to help you get to a better place after you died. And so many people, including Plato and Socrates, I mean, they are the most famous of the Greek philosophers, went through the Eleusinian mysteries. They walked the 14 miles. They took the 9-day journey. They sacrificed. They were there with, people from all walks of life. And they did that process. Philosophers did it. Politicians did it. Common people did it. What I'm going to teach you about tonight. So I won't be able to read you the whole thing tonight just because of my voice. But at some point I do want to record this for you just as an audio. You never have to listen to it if you don't want to. But some of you do like a deeper dive, and it would really be a pleasure for me to record it too. Because that way I can give that to my kids, and one day they can sit around with my grandkids and listen to Grandma read the hymn to Demeter, right? It would be a dream to read it in Greek, but my Greek is not that good. So anyway, I wanted to tell you I'll be reading a little bit from that to you tonight. So we smudged. I want you to start to call your energy into present time. I have extensive notes for tonight, so buckle up. So I told you about bingo. We're going to be making our perfume tonight. And then there is a new perfume in the shop called Dirty Persephone. I wanted to let you know that too. If you want to know more about that, we can talk about it later after class or in the group another time. But I did make a naughty Persephone perfume today. So I'm actually going to be working with both. She looks like this. I made Dirty Persephone a silver cap and Demeter and Persephone a gold cap, so that when they're on your altar, if you have both, you can tell them apart. One is nice and the other one's naughty, because there are two sides to this story. I should get my dad to read it in Greek for them. What a great idea, Tanya. I might do that. Aww. Yeah, so we'll talk more about that later. Okay. I'm really asking myself how to begin at the beginning. I'm going to light my candle. Let's do that, just to kind of set the energy and begin the process. I'm going to ring my bell. Session 3 has begun. And just encouraging you to take a nice deep breath. We've already started, Laura Winkle. How's it going? I'm glad you're here. Very thankful for all of you and your presence today, especially today, because today is an important one for us. Okay, good. So, for about 1,500 years, the last record we have of anyone going through the 9-day, 14-mile journey that I'm going to teach you about tonight, the last record of that we have is 395 AD, after the death of Christ. So for about 1,500 years before that, every year on this day, and this is what's so cool, right at the height of harvest, at the time when Demeter's grief began. This is the seeding season, right, for grains. This is when we start to plant the seeds for next year's crops. That's why there's even duality in the harvest, right? I mean, even myself with my very small garden here compared to what people who do agricultural work do, right? I have like one little plant of each thing. But even me, I'm starting to think about seeding even as I'm harvesting herbs and fruits and things from my garden. I'm already thinking about how I'm going to replant and how I'm going to rebuild my boxes for next year. I would love to do this journey as a collective one day, by the way. I mean, I can't even tell you what it would mean to me for us to stand in Eleusis on the footsteps of the remnants of the shrine which exist and stand to this day. In my spirit, even as I say those words, I can feel it. Do you kind of feel it? I mean, what it would really mean for us to stand there in that distance from Athens, right? In that place where we know that for more than 1,000 years, everyone, every politician, every philosopher, every doctor, everyone who was someone in Greek society made that journey. And it is a journey. I mean, it is 14 miles. It's not the easiest 14 miles. But can you kind of feel it in your heart when you just think about it? Like, ooh, wouldn't that be amazing? I really hope that that if that wish is granted, really, if you hear one day that happens, you will know that my bucket list is kind of complete. That is definitely the top of the bucket list. I would be crying. I would be emotional. I'd probably be hugging you and, licking you and licking rocks and making the most of it. It's obviously not something we can do anytime soon, but I would love to make that journey with you. So we'll plant the seed tonight along with the other seeds that we're planting. So why did people make this journey? Why? Why was this? And I really want you to feel it, okay? Well, I'm getting there. Stay with me, Busy with Brilliance. Why would people? Now, they had to take 2 weeks off from everything they were doing, because it really was a 2-week process. There was a preparation, a detoxification, and then they were on hallucinogenics, for the end of this journey. They were drinking fermented barley with mint and pennyroyal. So they were pretty high, okay? Why would these esteemed and also common folks all together, high class, low class, everything in between, all walking these roads together for 9 days in difficult conditions to culminate in a journey where you're on hallucinogenics with a group of people you don't know. And the philosophy was you were really being taken down to your core. I mean, you were being stripped of, you weren't special, you know what I mean? You were there with everybody else. It was really about, it was a spiritual pilgrimage. Why would people do that? And the answer is to honor Demeter. To honor Demeter. That's why they did it. So we'll back up and start at the very beginning. So Demeter, in Greek philosophy and Greek history, she's featured on your perfume bottle with your embodiment perfume if you got that this month. The embodiment perfumes are designed for these journeys. They're optional, but when you see them, if you hear me talking about them, that's what they're for, is to give you something specific for the journeys each month, because people like that, but you don't have to have it. But the art on that image shows you Demeter with her arms around Persephone. Demeter is the grain goddess. Oh, I'm so glad Morgan's here. I was going to say, Morgan has done such beautiful work this month around these themes. So I'm really glad you're here, Morgan, for tonight's class. Welcome, welcome. Demeter was the grain goddess. And, one of the challenges I have in our modern day, and I used to teach this to my students when I was teaching Western civilization in college, I feel like we've kind of boiled the goddesses down. Like, she's a grain goddess, she's a fertility goddess, she's we kind of like cut and dry it and try to put things in boxes. But Demeter was very important to the ancient Greek people. She was really the goddess of the earth. I mean, she governed weather patterns, she governed the seasons, she governed the crops, she governed, if Demeter was in your favor, it was a good year. If Demeter was not in your favor, it was not a good year, and so Demeter was very important to the ancient Greek people. And so there was a cult of Demeter in ancient Greece, and that's part of the reason why she was such a profound figure. And so Demeter had one daughter, and her name was Persephone. Demeter had sex one time. She had a one-night stand with Zeus, which produced Persephone. So Persephone is a goddess. She is the daughter of Zeus and Demeter, and the only child of Zeus and Demeter. And you think about that, like, she's the daughter of the god of all gods, right? The all-father, really, in the Greek tradition, and the mother of the earth. So she's a very important figure. Now, part of what I want to teach you tonight is it's my job to teach you what you may not know about Athenian culture. A lot of the reasons that people struggle with the Demeter and Persephone myth is that they don't understand Athenian culture, and not just Greek culture. In ancient times, it would not have been referred to as Greek culture. It would have been referred to as Athenian culture, and that's not specific to me. Athena in Greek means Athens, and Athens has always been considered the heart center of Greece, and so everything that happened in Athens really defined the culture for the rest of the country of Greece. It was really the heartbeat, and everything that came through Athens was eventually made its way to the rest of the mainland and the islands surrounding. And so in Athenian culture, there's a couple of main principles that I want to teach you tonight. And a lot of what I'm teaching you tonight, which is really, really cool, is what I was taught by my father. This is how my dad and I bonded when I was little. My dad worked about 6.5 days a week. So I only got a few hours with him each week. And every one of those hours was either him reading me mythology or telling me stories or taking me to the library. My dad and my relationship when I was young was very close, but limited time-wise because of how hard he had to work. And when he would tell me stories, it would just take me to a different place. In fact, I think that if I hadn't had that experience with my dad, I probably wouldn't be sitting here with you now. I certainly wouldn't have become a professor. I wouldn't have, pursued my graduate degrees in literature and taught all of these things to college students. It's always been my passion, and not just with Soul Shift, but really far beyond that. So some of what I'm telling you tonight is from my academic studies and awareness, and some of what I'm telling you tonight are the stories that my dad told me too when I was little. So it's kind of a hybrid of all of that, but I hope that you enjoy that too. So I remember very clearly when I was little, my dad telling me, in ancient Greece, women could not own property. They couldn't own land. They really were objects. And when a woman was married, that proposal, right, was decided between her future husband and her father. And most of the time, her mother didn't even know that this was happening. And the girl didn't know. So all of a sudden, one day, it would be like, well, Joan, meet Richard. Joan, you're going to go live with Richard now. Bye. And Joan would go, okay. And then all of a sudden, Joan would now be Richard's property. It's hard for us to imagine it because it's so contrary to the way we operate, today. But it's kind of the ultimate arranged marriage. And you'll have to forgive me, I'm not going to be attending as much to your comments and questions in the feed just because I really want to focus live. But I will try to make some space at the end tonight to answer your questions. But I just don't want you to think I'm ignoring you because I do see some of you asking questions in the feed, but I kind of want to stay in the line of it because I'm also going to be journeying with you tonight, so I want to try to keep my line of focus very specific. But you're welcome to dialogue with each other in the feed if you enjoy that, but I just, for my personal purposes, especially because I've been really sick the last week, I just want to make sure my focus is with you. So they did not have a say in what was happening. So for a lot of us, thank you Alexis for that by the way too. For a lot of us, we can't imagine that. And yet the vestiges of that remain to this day. Women, when they get married, tend to take their husband's last name, right? I did not. What we did in my family is my children have my name, which if you don't know the story, I don't want to take the time to tell you now. It was actually a really beautiful story. But I did not take my husband's last name. That was intentional. I had finished my PhD by the time I'd gotten married. And I have 4 degrees and they were all in my maiden name, and I just didn't want to take a different last name that wasn't on my diplomas. So when I met Dave and we were talking about getting married, the first thing I said was, I just want you to know, I'm Athena Parakis till I die. And I said, it's also because my father had no sons. My brother is not his biological child. And so he said, that's fine. And then what was really sweet is when my kids were born, he actually recommended that they take my name because if they didn't, my name would not continue. There were no boys. My father had no sons, and neither did any of the other children in his family. Everybody had daughters. So my son will be carrying on my dad's name for him, which is really cool. So, but even my decision to not take his name in marriage is something of a move toward matriarchy, right? That my identity, I can be a partner to him without having him subsume part of me, or me, being subservient to him or becoming his property. It was a very important point for me. And it actually takes me back to those conversations with my dad, because I remember sitting there as a little girl going, what? Like, excuse me? And my dad would say, yeah, sometimes the girl would not know, and so the father would say, now you go and live with him, and there you go, kind of thing. So anyway, that's how it was. And traditionally in Greece too, this is another thing a lot of people don't realize, is a lot of times when women in Athenian culture, when girls, because the average age at marriage was 14, a lot of times when girls were wedded to these partners that were chosen by their fathers, they, not only did they not have a say in that process, but like I said, the mother was not aware of it. And so they would simply be moved to the husband's house and never see their parents again. And this is historical. This isn't like musings. A lot of Athenian girls, when they were married off, it was the last time they saw their parents. Are you starting to see why I'm telling you this if you understand the myth of Demeter and Persephone? Because a lot of us in the West, we see what happened with Demeter and Persephone, and oh my God, and Persephone was ripped from her and sent to the underworld to marry Hades, and she would never see her again, and she had to fight to get her back. And it's like, the Athenians wouldn't have looked at it like that. The Athenian wedding day was the saddest day of an Athenian mother's life. Because unless her daughter was marrying someone in the village, she knew she would not see her daughter again. You need that context historically to understand the myth of Persephone and Demeter, because what I don't want you to do is read that myth and that legend through a Western lens, where we're all shocked and horrified because how could and why would and all of those things, because we have our own modern sort of perceptions about marriage rights and equality and equity and sovereignty, right? So, yeah, and then it's interesting, too, to think about how that plays out in our own lives. Okay, so marriage roles was one thing. I'm looking at my notes because I want to make sure I don't miss anything I wanted to tell you. Hades had Zeus's permission to take Persephone. So as the myth goes, and a lot of you know this myth, but a lot of you don't, one day, Demeter, goddess of the harvest and the earth, was out, and her daughter was out in the fields, looking at flowers, picking flowers, when Hades, the god of the underworld, also known as Pluto, right? Those are interchangeable names. When Pluto saw her. Now, Pluto was sent. Hades was sent by Zeus. It was time for Persephone to be married. And Persephone is a goddess. Who is she going to marry? I mean, it's not like there's a whole bunch of options, right? Like, you got to marry a god. And so Zeus was preparing her to be a queen. It's another perception of this story, right? From his perspective, he's like, I'm up here on Olympus, I got this. He's down there. Remember, Hades is his brother. You're down there, you're lonely. You know, I got this kid I got to offload. Don't tell her mom. Because nobody told the moms, right? Well, it's true. So don't be jarred by the 14-year-old thing, okay? Because that was the average age of marriage in Athenian culture. Because to Karen Carley's point, actually the average life expectancy specifically was 38 in Athenian culture. Childbearing years were 15 to 19 in Athenian culture. Oh, yeah. So 14 was right in there. Again, in our culture, we're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You know, I mean, I felt young getting married at 29. I honestly felt like somebody was going to turn around and go, you are way too young for this. And of course, nobody did. But in Athenian culture, you had to get married around 14 because you had to start having children around 15 or 16 so that you could at least be around to raise them for at least 20 years before you would die and they would start having their own children, right? So yeah, we have to kind of like adjust our lens, which is why I'm giving all of this to you, because we have such a sensitivity around young people in our society and how that's so inappropriate. And I agree. I mean, I no more would I expect my kids to ever have any kind of activity or be getting married at an age like that. But when you live in a different time, and my mom was married at 16, had my brother at 17. So even just a generation ago, my mom and my brother are so close because my mom was a kid when he was born. I mean, she literally had just turned 17 when my brother was born. So we have to be careful with our lenses on things, you know what I mean? Because we have a perception that that's very young, but in Athenian culture, it was not because they didn't live very long. And so that is kind of part of the important backstory. So Hades sees her, right? She's cute. She's picking some flowers. So he goes up and, of course, seduces her. And, you know, as far as we understand, she kind of took the bait and went with him as they would have, right? I mean, young girls were not dumb. They were aware of the norms and the expectations. And here is this god who's arriving, and she's a goddess, and probably had some level of curiosity about what was happening too. And so we use the word abduction, but, you know, that is loaded with connotations. But he did take her to the underworld with him. And when they got there, and we'll come back to that in just a minute. So Demeter started to notice that her daughter was gone. And started looking all over. Well, she's not by the river. She's not with the flowers. Where did she go? And So at first her search was, just looking around, curious. But it became more and more and more emotional as she started to realize her daughter really was not there. Ultimately, Demeter's search for Persephone lasted for 9 days. Now, I want you to think about this. Odin, in the Norse tradition, his vision quest, because when you think about this, this is Demeter's vision quest. His vision quest was 9 days and ended in his downloading of the runes, right? It ended in his receipt of this massive wisdom. Demeter's journey was 9 days, and it took her to Eleusis, where she ordered, at the end of those 9 days, for a shrine to be built in her honor. And what ultimately resulted from that is that she stopped so she was so upset that for those 9 days, she killed every crop on the earth. She killed trees, she killed plants, she killed everything. And Zeus heard about this. And Zeus was like, "Excuse me? You're doing what?" And she's like, "I can't find my daughter. And if I don't find my daughter, this isn't going to go well. And I'm going to kill every human, and I'm going to kill every tree, and I'm going to kill every bush, and I'm going to kill every flower and every fruit, and there'll be nothing left of this planet." You're so sweet, Terry. And so Zeus was concerned, not for humanity. Zeus was concerned because without humans and without animals, there would be no sacrifice. And without sacrifice, the gods lose their power. This is one of the big myths around the Demeter story. People think that Zeus was concerned because of the plants or because of the crops. He was not. And then some people say, well, Zeus was concerned for humanity. The planet was going to be empty. He was not concerned about humanity. He was concerned about the gods and the lack of sacrifices that would be available, because she's like, your pigs, gone. Your peeps, gone. Your plants, gone. Your wheat, gone. Gone until my daughter's back, right? And you can imagine, if you are a parent, right, every parent that I've ever known has some of that quality in you. When it comes to your child, it's like, you'll kind of do anything, right? And so she went full mama bear on Zeus and was like, you want this to change? You got time. It's not going to change unless you bring her back. I hope you can see where this is going with regards to our theme for the month, which is mediation and negotiation as priestesses. Zeus had to engage in the ultimate mediation and negotiation. He's got a former partner. They're not together anymore. It didn't work out. She's acting batshit crazy, and she's about to kill the whole planet because he did his job and married off this daughter. You got to move the merchandise, right? And he gave her to his brother, who's a god, because she had to marry a god. So he's like, I checked off all the boxes. But now I got my ex, is acting nuts over here. So somehow I have to figure out, what do all parties want? Do you remember what I taught you about mediation and negotiation in session 1? The first rule of negotiation is that you have to understand what each party in the calculus desires. Because everybody has to get something in order for negotiation to work. Nobody's going to get everything they want. Demeter didn't get her back for the whole year, right? Hades didn't get to keep her for the whole year. Zeus negotiated, with some help from Hecate along the way. Zeus negotiated her release, okay? So Zeus said to Demeter, this is kind of, when you read the whole Homeric hymn, you will realize I'm giving you the Cliff Notes version. This is 12 double-sided pages. I don't have until midnight with you tonight to be able to tell you every single nook and cranny. So I'm giving you kind of the upshot and a little bit of a honey badger approach to it. But you're getting the upshot. So mom's mad. Zeus has got to figure this out. And Hades is like, a deal's a deal, dude. I mean, you totally gave her to me. I'm good. I've got a seat right next to her on my throne, right? So the upshot is that Demeter is searching, and along the way, she consults other people for help. And Zeus is trying to figure out what to do, and so she comes upon Hecate. And so I'm going to read you just a little bit. I'm going to read you a couple of passages that I think are important. Let me see. Yeah, I'll just read you a few passages because otherwise I'm going to end up reading the whole thing to you. So it begins this way. I begin to sing of Demeter, the holy goddess with the beautiful hair. Remember, this is a Homeric hymn. Most professors do not believe Homer wrote this. There's really no way that Homer wrote the Iliad and the Odyssey and all of the Homeric hymns. I mean, it would be like humanly impossible, and the timelines don't add up. So this is a hymn attributed to Homer, but no, people don't necessarily believe that Homer wrote it. So hopefully that's helpful. The holy goddess with the beautiful hair, and her daughter, Persephone, the one with the delicate ankles, whom Hades seized. She was given away by Zeus, the loud thunderer, the one who sees far and wide. Demeter did not take part in this, she of the golden double axe, she who glories in the harvest. Persephone was having a good time, along with the daughter of Okeanos, who wear their girdles slung low. She was picking flowers, roses, crocus, beautiful violets, up and down the soft meadow. Iris blossoms too she picked, and hyacinth, and the narcissus, which was grown as a lure for the flower-faced girl. Do you hear that? They even grew flowers to lure her to that field so that Hades would find her. The whole thing was orchestrated, as it would have been in an Athenian society. Again, we look at that and go, oh my God, that's so terrible, but it's an arranged marriage, right? Oh, she'll like these flowers, plant those over there, we'll take her over there when she's 14, right? The narcissus was a wondrous thing in its splendor. Oh, I'm sorry, let me go back. All of this according to the plans of Zeus. Gaia was doing a favor for the one who receives many guests, and that is Hades. The narcissus was a wondrous thing in its splendor. To look at it gives a sense of holy awe to the immortal gods as well as mortal humans. It has 100 heads growing from the root up, its sweet fragrance spread over the wide skies above. And the earth below smiled back in all its radiance. So too the churning mass of the salty sea. Persephone was filled with a sense of wonder, and she reached out with both hands to take hold of the pretty plaything. And the earth, full of roads leading every which way, opened up under her. It happened on the plain of Nysa. There it was that the Lord who receives many guests, that's how Hades was known, the Lord who receives many guests. Do you know why it was referred to as that? He's the king of the dead. The guests he receives are the people who die. Mercury, Hermes, brings them to him. Did you know that in ancient Greek mythology, the only being who can freely go between heaven and hell, or between earth and hell, between the earth and the underworld, the only being who can go back and forth freely, other than Hecate, because she's the gate crosser, is Hermes. Only those two, that god and that goddess, are the only ones who have free reign to go back and forth between the earth and the underworld. Anyone else, if you go to the underworld in ancient Greek mythology, you can never come back. Okay. Sorry, I lost my place. And the earth below smiled back in all its radiance. So too the churning mass of the salty sea. Persephone was filled with a sense of wonder, and the earth full of roads. I read that part already. There it was that the Lord who receives many guests made his lunge. He was riding on a chariot drawn by immortal horses, the son of Kronos, the one known by many names, and he seized her against her will, put her on a golden chariot, and drove away as she wept. she cried with a piercing voice. She called upon her father Zeus, the son of Cronos, the highest and the best, but not one of the mortal ones, or of human mortals, heard her voice, not even the olive trees which bear their splendid harvest, except for the daughter of Perseus, the one who keeps in mind the vigor of nature. She heard it from her cave. She is Hecate, with a splendid headband, and the Lord Helios, the sun god, he heard it too. The magnificent son of Hyperion, they heard the daughter calling upon her father, the son of Cronos. But he, all by himself, was seated far apart from the other gods inside a temple, the precinct of many prayers. He was receiving beautiful sacrificial rites from the mortal humans, while she was being taken, at his behest, by her father's brother, the one who makes many samata, the one who receives many guests, the son of Cronos, the one with many names, on the chariot drawn by immortal horses, so long as the earth and the star-filled sky were still within the goddess's view, as also the fish-swarming sea with its strong currents, and also the rays of the sun. She still had hope that she would yet see her mother and that special group, the immortal gods. For that long time, her great nous was soothed by hope. Distressed as she was, the peaks of the mountains resounded, as did the depths of the sea, with her immortal voice. And her mother, the lady, heard her. A sharp pain seized her heart. The headband on her hair she tore off with her own immortal hands, and threw a dark cloak over her shoulders. She sped off like a bird, soaring over land and sea, looking and looking. But no one was willing to tell her the truth. Not one of the gods, not one of the mortals, not one of the birds, messengers of the truth. Thereafter, for 9 days, did Lady Demeter wander all over the earth, holding torches ablaze in her hands. Not once did she take of ambrosia or nectar, sweet to drink, in her grief, nor did she bathe her skin in water. But when the 10th brightness dawn came upon her, Hecate came to her, holding a light in her hands. She came with a message, and she spoke, saying to her, Lady Demeter, giver of splendid gifts, which one of the gods who dwell in the sky, or which one of the mortal humans seized Persephone and brought such grief to you? I heard the sounds, but I did not see with my eyes who it was, so I quickly come to tell you everything, without error. So spoke Hecate, but she was not answered by the daughter of Rhea, Demeter, with the beautiful hair. Instead, Demeter joined her and quickly set out with her, holding torches ablaze in their hands. They came to Helios, the seeing eye of gods and men. They stood in front of his chariot team, and the resplendent goddess asked this question, Helios, show me respect, god to goddess. If ever I have pleased your heart in word or deed, it is about the girl born to me, a sweet young seedling renowned for her beauty, whose piercing cry I heard resounding through the boundless ether as if she was being forced, though I did not see it with my own eyes. I turn to you as one who ranges all over earth and sea as you look down from the bright ether with your sunbeams. Tell me without error whether you have by any chance seen my child, and who has taken her from me by force against her will. Tell me which one of the gods or mortal humans did this. So she spoke. And so, this is, I will link to this for you. This is, if you're joining late, this is the Homeric hymn to Demeter. And this is the original myth of Demeter and Persephone, from which every other book, translation, video, lecture, this is what we call in research, this is the primary source. Does that make sense to you? So in research, when you are holding the original document, this is the original myth. Everything else that's ever been written or analyzed about this is called a secondary source. So as a researcher, what I always like to do is take people back, even though this is sometimes more complicated to understand. I know you guys are there, and I thought it would be really good to take you back to the original. It wasn't hard to understand, right? Some people will say that this is too complex to understand, but I think it's because you guys have also kind of a firm understanding of the kind of what was happening in the myth, and now that I've given you more of the historical context too, helps you to kind of situate what I'm reading to you in some context. So I might read for you a little bit more. At the end tonight, I will read to you what it says about Eleusis. And and the gift that comes to people who pursue the mysteries. Did you dive right in? I love it. See, you're there. 1,000% Stephanie Brown. I will be posting this for you, so you don't need to go and chase it or look for it. I chose this translation. You might end up wanting to find a different translation, but if you are happy with this translation, then you won't need to look any further. I'll make sure I link to it for you. Oh, God. Okay. So, how is this related to our work tonight? How are we going to journey around this? Okay. So Demeter and Hecate, it was really Hecate's advice, was told, you need to go to Eleusis. Eleusis is 14 miles from the central cemetery in Athens. It is a point-to-point, 14 miles as the crow flies, directly from Athens proper to Eleusis. And Eleusis is the name of a city. It's still there today. In fact, it's interesting because where the Eleusinian shrine, the remnants of the shrine, exist today, and you can visit them, is surrounded now by there's apartments and there's like power plants, and it's like an industrial complex. So it's not a beautiful, pretty place. It's actually kind of sad because it's not, in my opinion, it should be kind of set off and really, it should be treated as a shrine. But it is still there in the middle of, everything else that's happening. Yeah, it's kind of, and you can look online and kind of see videos because people still, not this year, obviously, but we're taking, there are tour guides who will take you on, take you actually by car from the center of Athens to Eleusis so that you can actually drive the parts that you can drive of the actual Yera Odos. I know. So she did that walk. She walked that 14 miles from Athens to Eleusis. And she was told that she would encounter a family there, which she did. And she actually encountered the queen, Metanera, who was the queen of Eleusis. So when she got to Metanera's house, she presented herself as just an old woman. She didn't say, oh, hey, I'm Demeter, queen of the earth, and guess what? My kid's gone. I'm super pissed. I've made everything die. I'm kind of in trouble with my ex. Do you think you could, hook me up? Which is pretty much what she said. And she was like, listen, if you can just give me a place to stay, I'll take care of your kids. And so Metanera was like, well, my three or four older daughters, I don't really need help. But I have this baby boy. And as the legend goes, Metanera was really old when she had this last child, Demophon. And so she said, I do need help with this baby boy. And it'd be really wonderful if you could protect him because, again, child mortality rates in Athenian culture were very high. It was not, just because you had a baby doesn't mean you would have a child. A lot of babies died in the first year of life. So she was like, this is great. You can help me. I can help you with your ex. You can take care of my kid. And so Demeter was like, totally, I'm very willing to help you. And Metanera was like, it's so important that he makes it because I'm the queen and this is my only heir and we want to protect him. So every night, Demeter decided privately, I'm going to make this kid immortal. And so Demeter did that by... she did some different things. She recited these incantations and she bathed him in this ambrosia, and then she placed him in the fire each night. She held him over the fire every night. And so, because that's how you make people immortal. And so one night, you can imagine it as a parent. One night Metanera comes in and she's a little late, checking on Demophon. And so she walks in and she's like, wait, what? You're putting him in a fire? This is true, mythology. And so Demeter says, oh, I'm sorry, I'm trying to help you, make him immortal. And so basically, she's told to get out. We don't want you here. We don't want that. You're not protecting him. You're endangering him. And the hymn of Demeter does not say what happened to Demophon. It hints at the fact that he didn't make it. And there are other writers who sort of picked up from where the hymn ends and kind of extrapolated on to say that he did not make it. So Demeter basically said, I will try to protect your son's life if you build me a shrine. I'm Demeter, goddess of the earth. Turns out I'm not just this old woman, I'm a goddess. I was trying to make your kid immortal, but you're not grateful. So I'll still try to help him if I can. If you just build me a shrine over here, that would be great. And so they built the shrine, and Zeus negotiated this deal between Demeter and Hades. Listen, we're going to build her this shrine. I need you to kind of bring Persephone back a little bit here, because her mom's freaking out. Now she's trying to make the queen's son immortal by putting him in the fire and stuff. Now I got bigger issues on my hands, because now I've got the queen of Eleusis is angry at me too. Not making sacrifices, all the things she's supposed to be doing. And so that is how the shrine to Demeter was ultimately built, which to this day still stands in Eleusis. You guys still with me? I know it's a complex story. So at the end of her 9 days, she's standing at her shrine, and Zeus and Hades explain, Hades explained to Zeus, I should say. Again, Demeter was not necessarily involved in all of this. Look, I'd love to give her back to you. She ate something when she was down here, so she can't come back. Not for good. She can come back for a little while. And some stories say she came back for 4 months a year. Some stories say she came back for 6 months a year. The net is she was allowed to come back, Persephone was allowed to come back to be with her mother for the length of time each year that it takes the grains to grow. And that's how we explain winter and fall and spring and summer. So when Persephone is allowed to come back and be with her mother, the world is green and vibrant, and there's flowers on the trees, and there's hummingbirds, and there's grain, and everything is growing, and we're prosperous. And that minute she has to go back, which is last night, right? Every year on Mabon, Persephone goes back to the underworld. The minute that happens, it's like a switch, right? And all of a sudden the leaves drop. The fruit starts to shrink on the vine. You better pick your grapes and pick your this and pick your that, because otherwise your fruit's going to turn to, your grapes are going to turn to raisins, right? So she ate these seeds of the pomegranate. Now, I've always been fascinated because, I was raised as a Christian by my maternal grandmother, who was a minister. And she always taught me about the Garden of Eden and the apple, right? That was so, so dangerous, right? In the Garden of Eden, and that you didn't want to be tempted by the snake and all of those things. The real apple in the Garden of Eden, it turns out the Garden of Eden was in Persia. And the apple was a pomegranate. Isn't that interesting? It wasn't an apple. And so the Christian tradition also echoes this idea that if you eat the seeds of the pomegranate, what is it about the seeds of this fruit, right? And segue into Lilith, right? So most legends say that she ate 6 seeds, which lines up with the 6 months down there and the 6 months up here. Interesting, right? But there is something about the pomegranate that links us with forbidden spaces, forbidden wisdom, forbidden knowledge. There is something. Now, the ancient Greek word mystery actually means secret, something that I might know that you're not allowed to know. And so one of the reasons they call it the Eleusinian Mysteries is that there was secret information that existed at the Temple of Demeter. And the key to that was the connection to Hades. So, right, so these are the secrets. And the secrets somehow are still tied to pomegranates, which is why the fact that she ate them meant that she couldn't come back. Persian pomegranates. I've always said Persian girls are very seductive. Okay. So, and so whatever, kind of a happy ending. The reality is most Athenian arranged marriages would not end up with that happy ending. Most of them did not come back to their moms for 6 months. and then go back to their husbands for 6 months or whatever. Like, that's not how that story ended for most Greeks. It was, bye mom, I'm going off now to be a wife and a mom, and it was nice knowing you for these 14 years, and see you in the afterlife, right? And so if you lived a good life, you would hope to be able to reconnect with your lineage when you got to the other side. Okay. In ancient Greece, like I said, from the year 395 AD, going back 1,500 years before that, every single year on the 22-23 of September, the 9-day pilgrimage would begin, walking Demeter's exact steps from the center of Athens to Eleusis, ending at the shrine. And it was a long walk, it was a hot walk, it's still very hot in Greece at that time, right? And so it would end at the shrine. And everybody would stand at the shrine. And then there are these walkways and these pathways. And so they would go from one part of the shrine to sort of the inner workings of the shrine. And ultimately they would end up, there was a word they used to describe it. I'm trying to find it in my notes. Ultimately they end up in an underground temple at the end of the 9 days, and at the end of this experience at the temple at Eleusis. And what's fascinating to me, like I said, I've probably read at least 100 accounts. Everything that's written, from doctoral dissertations to articles to books to watching documentaries and all this stuff, and videos and talking to professors and everything else. And the one rule about going through the Eleusinian rites, and we're talking about Socrates and Plato, like people who you would think would have documented this in writing somehow. It was a curse to write about this or speak about it. If you went through the Eleusinian rites, if you did that 9-day pilgrimage and then did the full set of rites at the shrine that led to the cave underneath, it's underground, and you finished that final act, at the very end, you were given an object. No one knows what anyone was given. There are no records. People took it so seriously that no one, and I know it's crazy because honestly part of me was like, I don't believe it. There's got to be some record somewhere. There is no written record about what those rites were. There's loose record about what people carried on the 9 days. There's loose records about what they drank. Like I said, the best we know, it was a fermented barley. I mean, very sort of intense, right? I mean, highly hallucinogenic, fermented barley with mint and pennyroyal. And everybody had to drink that. They had to drink it at the beginning and they had to drink it at the end. And so you weren't allowed to talk about it. Can you imagine? No Instagram posts, nothing in your story or your feed. Can't hashtag, I'm at the shrine, hashtag, sacred way, FOMO, right? If you did this thing, you had to shut up about it. It's like Fight Club. First rule of Fight Club, you don't talk about Fight Club, right? So this was Fight Club. It's really true. So unfortunately what that means is, at best, we only have guesses about what was happening. They were, what I understand, I mean, having worked with hallucinogenic plant medicines in my own life, they went on a journey. And some of them have probably never had an experience like that in their lives. And I'm sure it was psychoactive. And yeah, I mean, I don't talk much about my ceremonial experiences outside of Soul Shift. I mean, I don't talk publicly too much, and there's still stuff that I've experienced in Journey that I've never shared outside of my notes, right, and my shaman. No, it was a physical journey, and that we have documentation of, Candace. There's documentation of the physical walking, but once they get to the shrine, we don't have documentation about the process within. Isn't that interesting? So, make sure I've told you everything. One of the things that this brings to mind for me, relative to our, I've covered all my notes, which is great. So now I can focus on getting us ready for journey. One of the things that this brings to mind for me, because I really sat with and meditated on and asked my spirit guides, what's the best way to bring you into a journey space? And while you're sitting in the comfort of your home or wherever you are right now, while I'm in the comfort of my home and we're not, in the same room together, how can I bring this to life for you? Yeah. Some people say they did drink the Kikyon, which is the pennyroyal mint, during the journey on the walk. And some people say they only drank the Kikyon when they got there. I've seen both sides of that told. I think drinking the Kikyon on the way there would have been very difficult. I haven't walked 9 miles on ayahuasca. Sometimes walking down my hallway in my house on ayahuasca feels like a 9-mile walk. Yeah, it was like ergot, like a fermented hops, right? Okay. So our journey tonight, and I'm looking at the time. I just want to make sure. I think we'll journey first, and if there's time, we'll make perfume. And like I said, I think maybe what we'll ultimately end up doing is making all of the perfumes together next week. That kind of keeps it. No, I'm sorry, it's 14 miles in 9 days. It's 14 miles, 9 days. Because Demeter's journey was 9 days. So yeah, 9 days, 14 miles from, I'm sorry if I misspoke. It's 14 miles from Athens to Eleusis. That's really interesting, isn't it? Okay, so we'll kind of save our perfuming for next time if we don't have enough time tonight. I do want to invite you to start to anoint with whatever oils you want to work with. I'm going to burn our incense. So I'm going to light my charcoal burner just to kind of get us going with some firepower here. So I'm going to light my charcoal. So where I'm going with tonight's journey is this. The story of Demeter's journey and the Eleusinian rites, the story of her encounter of Hecate, and others along the way too, who helped her, right, is the same, what Joseph Campbell called the monomyth, if you're familiar with that term. The monomyth is a timeless story of good and evil, and what every hero has to undergo in order to transform. And Joseph Campbell, I'm not going to go into the details of Joseph Campbell tonight, but I highly recommend Joseph Campbell, that you read Joseph Campbell if you haven't. Joseph Campbell, I was introduced to Joseph Campbell when I was 18, and it completely changed. I changed majors once I read Joseph Campbell. Really changed my life. If you haven't seen his interviews with Bill Moyer from PBS from the 80s, I think it is, it's still some of the best wisdom you'll ever hear or see. So I highly recommend that too. But what Joseph Campbell called the monomyth is really the hero's journey. Sorry, I really want some smoke. So I gotta make that go. I'll put a little bit more on there. So let me tell you what the hero's journey is in a nutshell. We've talked about this before in Soul Shift, but it's been a little while, and some of you are newer, so it might still be relevant to talk about it. A lot of us are on our hero's journey right now, this year. Every single person in their life, it smells so good. Every single person in their life, at some point, here's a call. It's a call to action. It could be because, in the case of Demeter, her daughter was abducted, right? It could be because, you experience a loss. For me, it was losing my vision. I was declared legally blind I mean, I was just, I didn't anticipate that. My health had always been relatively good until, 10 years ago. Whatever the call looks like for you, some people call it the call, he calls it the call. Some people call it an initiation, right? It's an impetus, right? Heidi's talking about divorce, right? Divorce, separation, loss, grief, health crisis, all of these things. Sometimes the call is a positive call. Like, you don't know why, but you just have to make a change. You got to change where you live. You got to change what you do. You got to change how you're doing what you do. You got to make a change. That's the call. And the call, usually, according to Joseph Campbell, requires you to kind of completely change. Maybe change where you are, change what you're doing, up and go, right? And it becomes a quest. And somewhere, right around usually the middle of that journey, you encounter the mentor. Somebody who comes and gives you a key to unlock a door. And then when you walk through that door, you gain the wisdom that you needed. That was really the purpose for you experiencing that call in the first place. And then what you do is you ultimately bring that wisdom back to where you were at the beginning. And that is ultimately the reason why we're alive, and it's the reason why we have these experiences, right? And it's beautiful, because for some of you, I've been able to be part of that process where, like, I found you, and gave you a key, or someone else found you and gave you a key, or you found someone and gave them a key, right? Because at some point we are all a mentor, and at some point we all get mentored, right? And there were multiple people along my path who were like, I have a key. And another person showing up and going, I have a key. And each person has a different key, right? And so I'm very grateful to have been part of your paths, and for you to be part of my paths. And so the goal is, and think of Luke Skywalker, right? Because his Star Wars is the ultimate example of the monomyth, or, Lord of the Rings, right? Ultimately, the hero returns home, but nothing is the same. He's not the same. She's not the same. They're not the same. Their home may look the same, physically, everything looks the same, but they don't look at the world through the same eyes. They've seen a lot now, right? They've lost and they've gained. Praying for my voice to stay. This is the most important part, right? And I can see you guys too. And in so many ways, like, I've seen you through this process. I've seen you go home. Whether it's physically, maybe you never left home, but you're back in your old circumstances sometimes, and it's like, wow, this is a whole, like, how did I live here back then? How did I do that, right? And so, if that hasn't happened to you yet, it will. Usually the Saturn return at age 28 to 32 is most people's call, right? If you haven't gotten the call yet, it usually comes around that first Saturn return, when Saturn's like, you're too comfortable. You gotta move, you gotta get out of the nest. And like I said, mine came after my Saturn return and in the form of a health challenge. And I can see where I was being called before that, and I was ignoring it because I kind of liked my life the way it was, and I didn't really want it to change. And in order for me to answer the call, everything about my life had to change. And I wouldn't have done that on my own. So the universe literally had to do something to change it. Literally had to go, well, now you can't see. Sorry, what are you going to do? Guess you're changing, right? So where I'm taking this journey tonight is you're in your own hero's journey right this very minute. A lot of us are. This is a very, very, very difficult time on our planet. But what the hero's journey teaches me, that has been healing for me, is that there's always helpers. You're never alone. And in fact, all you have to do is ask. And they're put like breadcrumbs in your path. And I don't know if you notice how consciously, I'm not going to do as much of the Be Seen stuff in Soul Shift next year. I don't think we're going to need it as much. The Be Seen stuff, and my spirit guides have told me this multiple times in our group, people wanting to be seen or see me or please see me and all this stuff, is very 2020. Because the reality is a lot of us are afraid, and the be seen stuff is all root chakra. Am I safe? Am I good enough? Am I worthy? Am I lovable? Does anyone see me? Am I invisible? Am I going to make it? Am I alive? Am I worthy of being alive? That's all root chakra stuff. Once you get that root chakra handled and you move up into the sacral and into the solar plexus, the be seen thing seems irrelevant. It's like, well, of course I'm seen. Of course I'm safe. Of course I'm loved. Of course I'm worthy of being here. Like, I'm here, right? So I'm sharing that with you because it's not going to be as much a part of our vocabulary or curriculum next year, and in part because I've just been told it's a time-bound thing. We're going to be feeling more in our personal power, and we're not going to need to have that power constantly mirrored back to us or repeated back to us or articulated that way, because we'll have that working knowledge within us and it won't have to be expressed. Does that make sense? So, and again, like, I had my own time where I was like, but do you see me? No, but do you see me? It's like, and I had multiple teachers say, I do, but at some point you're going to have to see you. Because either I'm not going to be here or, you're not going to be here or something. So I can stand here as a proxy for your worthiness until you see it, but ultimately you're going to have to see it, right? And so tonight's journey, my intention for it is that you will see. That's what the Eleusinian mysteries were. The Eleusinian mysteries were designed to give people a better afterlife. And the reason it was designed to give them a better afterlife was it was designed to teach them how to love this life, to be grateful for this life, to see the magic in this life. Most scholars agree the ultimate gift of that psychotropic journey that they went on with the Kykeon and the pennyroyal and the fermented hops and the mint and all of that, the ultimate gift of that is they learned to love and see and appreciate themselves. And so they went back to their lives grateful, happy, peaceful, integrated, aware, grounded, right? Stable, focused, aligned. I mean, when I told you at the beginning of tonight that I've been waiting a year to do this with you, and there were times earlier in the year where I was like, shit, should I do it now? And I'm really hoping, I know I think there's 200 of us here live. I'm really hoping, if you have colleagues in the group who weren't able to make it tonight live, I really hope you'll encourage them to watch the recording. My hope is that everybody in Soul Shift will do this journey. It doesn't have to be done tonight. It could be done next month. It could be done at the end of the year. My hope is between now and December 31st on whatever timeline it makes sense. And Samhain would be another really perfect opportunity because it's such an important portal time. Or if you want to go back and redo it at Samhain time. Now is the right time, I think. I'm in agreement, but there were times where I'm like, maybe I should do it with them this month. I really need it. It's like, no, wait. I think it's all been leading us here. Now, the most important thing with the journey, and it was important in Eleusis as well, is these experiences are only as good as what you carry back with you to the village, right? If you have this experience, but you go back to the village and you don't integrate this, then it won't serve you. It won't have the capacity to really shift or transform anything because this has to be embodied. And so part of my intention tonight is embodiment. My intention is that you experience support tonight from sources seen and unseen. My intention is that you come forward from this experience with a deeper appreciation of this life. It's flawed. It's messed up. I started to watch the news earlier today, had to shut it off, just couldn't take it. you know? But there's still a lot of beauty and a lot in this world, in this life, to appreciate. My intention is that you will not only learn to embody this for yourself, but you will embody this for your family. Because I don't know about you, I've never had to priestess more in my family than I've had to in the last 6 months. This hasn't just been about you guys. I'm having to priestess for everybody I know, right? My hope is that you will vibrate from this place for the rest of your life. And just like they said to the initiates, and by the way, this was an initiation. I think tonight is an initiation. And, if you step forward here, you are saying, I'm ready to love this life more. And I'm ready because that is the key to a good afterlife. So said the Greeks. So as we call in our guides and our guardians tonight to help us hold this space, you ready? Uh-huh. Get you to roll your shoulders back. And so feel out of your left hand, as we always do, a big, beautiful, juicy beam of bright white light extending out of that hand, taking up the whole width and dimension of the palm of your hand. Come on in, the water's warm. And I want you to see that beam of light extending out of your left hand and wrapping itself all the way around all of us who are gathered here, everyone who will watch later. And feel that beam of light come back to you in your right hand. And that beam of light is a beam of light that crosses centuries, paradigms, civilizations. Tonight we head back thousands of years, at least 1700. And maybe even further back. Feels more like 2000, doesn't it? 2,500, 3,000 years tonight. All the places you've been, all the names that you've been called, known by. I think so many of us made that walk. And like I said, I know some of my ancestors did. It's a pretty powerful thing that's in my veins. I do hope to make that walk this time. I really do. It'd be beautiful to do it with you. So I want to call in, invite in the guides and the guardians of the East tonight to be present with us. Ancient winds blowing across the basin of Athens, across those walkways and pathways leading us to Eleusis. We welcome you in tonight to open our minds, to take us back, to reconnect us with energy streams of peace and deep healing, connection, wisdom. Speak to us, guardians of the East, across those winds tonight, as we wait to hear your voice. And to the guides and the guardians of the South, fire element, we imagine those torches being carried as they led the initiates from the shrine down into the underground caves. No noise, no sound, just fire and light in the darkness. We ask that you light the way for us tonight as we take this sacred walk, this pathway toward healing, transformation, shift in our perspective. We welcome you. And to the guides and the guardians of the West, helping us to connect on an emotional level to the experience of tonight, opening our hearts, helping us to have a deeper understanding of all of these energies: grief, power, mystery, magic, Speak to us, guides and guardians of the West. Speak to our hearts directly. Help us to understand what needs to change or shift, what paradigms need to move or transform for us to come into a deeper alignment with our most significant tasks of this life. We welcome you and to the guides and the guardians of the North. Steady presence, stillness, silence. I think of the marble columns and the ruins themselves as being vestiges of earth, thousands of years, still standing, marking, holding the space. We call upon you, guardians of the North, speak to us tonight of wisdom and growth, of humility and strength. We welcome you into the ceremony space. And to the guides and the guardians of the vertical gateways, the upper world, middle world, lower world, welcoming you in as well, to align and connect these two axes of energy, as within, so without, as above, so below. We welcome you, all 7 of the guides and guardians, into the ceremony space tonight. In a perfect world, I would have some beautiful chalice, like one of my Mosier goblets, full of Kikyon to hand to you. If you have something, some kind of beverage or liquid, I think it would be really, profound. This is not Kikyon. This is a little bit of cold tea, but and not psychoactive at all. But it'd be beautiful if we could all take just a sip together to imagine that we are stepping forward in this journey, this moment. So cheers. If we ever do the journey together, I will try to find someone who can make us Kikyon. No promises, but I will try. Maybe a nice, mild Kikyon. Maybe not fermented, so it won't take us quite to Funky Town, but maybe we could have the taste of what it would have been like. Ooh. I am working with a drum tonight that I've never worked with in ceremony before. It is a Tibetan drum made by Tibetan monks. It has the furba on the bottom. And so this is a drum of transformation. I've been saving it for a whole year because I knew this was the drum I wanted to work with for the sacred way. I probably won't use this drum again, at least not until I'm told. So this is something very special. And so I call upon Demeter, Great Mother. We greet you tonight with such reverence and gratitude. As we enter your shrine this evening, we ask that you guide us gently but firmly toward our own personal evolution. Show us what needs to be seen so that when we return to our lives, our daily lives, that we carry this wisdom, we carry this experience, we carry this process forward, that we embody it so that others can see the transformation within us. We give thanks to you, we honor in you the goddess, the mother, the creator, the destroyer, one who grieves and one who is able to find balance through mediation and mutual respect. We honor you as the mother of all plants and all trees. We honor you as a source of wisdom in your season. This is your season. And we give thanks for the legacy and the lineage that is still so alive and aware and awake, even in this moment, thousands of years later, as we walk in your footsteps, Demeter. We give thanks for your blessings and your wisdom that are already on their way. And together we say, Amen, Aho. And so it is. And so I'm going to talk for a part of the next, we're going to begin our journey in just a second. I'm going to talk for part of it. I got this in Denver last year. I'm going to talk for part of the journey, and then I'm going to be quiet for part of the journey. When I'm quiet, I'm setting the intention that she is talking to you, so there isn't silence. It's my silence, so I can create space for her not to be silent. And then at the end, I will bring us back for the last part of the ceremony, which I'm very much looking forward to. I'll see you on the other side. lost your power or sacrificed your power or given up your power at any time? What will help you reclaim it? Demeter's why was Persephone. What's your why? tears dried. All unintegrated parts of you become whole, become unified. Part of your fully unified field of consciousness now. Feel her hand on your heart. Other hand on your belly. Now in the center of the cave, or the final step of the journey, I want you to imagine that Demeter is standing right before you. And tonight, Demeter, in this final moment with you, we ask that you introduce us to a sacred guide that you appoint to us. It could be an energy stream. It could be an item, a token that she'll provide to you. It could be the face of someone in your life. It could be a face that you don't recognize. It could be an animal spirit. Demeter, we ask that you provide us with a guide now, a guiding spirit, a guiding energy, a guiding offering, a guiding vision to help us as we move from this space and begin to think about embodying what we have received and transformed tonight. And so I want you to reach out your hands, physically or just energetically, and allow her to place her hands on top of yours. And I want you to feel the transmission here. Again, this could be entirely energetic. There may not be a person or a thing. It could just be an energy that she provides to you. Demeter, we stand with open hearts and open hands to receive the mysteries tonight, to receive the secrets, to channel your wisdom, to receive a guiding force or energy or offering or presence to guide us into the weeks and the months and the years ahead, so that we can truly embody this wisdom and enjoy a sweeter experience in the afterlife one day. Just let her speak to you. And when you feel like you have received downloaded, channeled everything that you need, and your hands might feel very warm, might even feel kind of difficult to move them a little bit. That's normal because you're channeling, you're running a lot of energy right now, so just let the energy move through. And while your hands are holding this frequency, I would love for you to touch as many things that are significant to you for tonight as possible. That can include talismans, jewelry, whatever you touch is being infused with this energy. You don't have to touch anything, but if you just have some tools that you want to receive this wisdom or these codes, your hands are very powerful right now, so just making contact with anything that you want to bless with this frequency. Any parts of your body, if you've been in need of healing, you want to place your hands on those parts of your body right now. Just giving permission for healing codes to be received and transmitted. If it feels good to you, you can send a little bit of this to our planet just by putting your hands facing the floor. Extend it above, out to nature, to everyone in the world who needs these frequencies and is able to receive them. It's just planetary energy. There's no specific intention associated with it. You're just sharing a higher frequency with the planet, with your space, with your body, with your tools. So Demeter, we give thanks for this experience tonight. We give thanks for the token or offering or presence or person or energy stream that you have connected us with tonight, which will allow us to continue this work, but with support. And so the last step of our initiation this evening is the commitment, which everyone in Eleusis had to make. The commitment to keeping this experience personal and private for you, but also the commitment to embodying what you've experienced and learned and received tonight, so that while you may not choose to share the experience with others, you are sharing the frequency. So again, take a moment to almost take a snapshot of this, what your body feels like, what your mind feels like, what your spirit feels like, just to be fully immersed in this moment. So that you can recognize it when you come back. And so, now, as she leads us back, We thank you, Demeter, for being such a gracious and gentle guide for our journey this evening. We thank you for transmuting your own grief so that you could become a teacher and a guide and a mentor for us, teaching us skills of balance, negotiation, mediation, magic. And so as your spirit begins that long journey back now, not only across space and time, but across thousands of years, back we come from ancient Greece, Eleusis herself, winding our way back to where we began this evening, becoming aware of your connection to the floor, scrunching up your shoulders, giving yourself a good hug. And only when you're ready, starting to think about opening your eyes. Yeah, I'm cold and hot at the same time. There was a time where I couldn't move my left hand, though. It was really interesting. There was so much energy, which of course is my receiving hand. So I thought that was really cool. Kind of couldn't move my fingers for a minute. Ooh, did you go? Mm-hmm. Aw, she gave you love, Jenny Holloway, agape, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, thank you for being here, Karen Brown. Mm-hmm. Did your hands get buzzy? My hands were super buzzy. Buzzier than they've been. There's a big Hummer that just went by. Buzzier than they've been, I think, in any journey that we've been on this year. My goodness sake. Did you fall asleep? Mm-hmm. Your face got fuzzy? Fuzzy face is the best. Woo! Wow. So, I would like you to work with your oils one more time if you have them with you before we leave the journey space, because we don't talk as much about this year. We should talk about it more. Depending on how much of a focus, I really want to do miraphoric training next year. Which is the ancient art of oils, of using oils in alchemical work. And I haven't really done that in a specific way, so we might do more of that next year, and we'll talk more about scent association. So whatever perfumes you're going to work with, I'm working with Demeter and Persephone and Dirty Persephone myself. As many places as you can get those going. And I'm going to have you take 3... Actually, let's do 7, because it really is 7 times to create what we call a scent association. So if you smell something 7 times, your brain, your olfactory system, which is adjacent to the limbic system in your brain. The limbic system in your brain is your old brain. It's your reptilian brain. It doesn't have language. It can't really process much except, am I safe or am I not, right? It's a primal part of your brain. That's where your olfactory system is. And so when you smell something 7 times, you create what we call a scent association between the experience you're having and the scent. So that every time you smell that scent, your reptilian brain your olfactory system will connect you back to that on a subconscious level, which will help you replicate this experience that you're having if you want to in the future. So 7 times, ready? Inhales. That's 1. That's 2. That's 3. That's 4. That's 5. That's 6. Sacred Way is great. Aphrodite's Love Balm is great. That's 7. Pythia is wonderful. Has it really, Tanya? I love that. It's 7. 7, 7. Okay. I want to begin the releasing work tonight by releasing and thanking Demeter herself. She was the star of tonight's show. And so, Demeter, we thank you for being such a beautiful guide and presence and priestess and goddess tonight to show us a way to healing that's born really of her pain, right? This transformation. So she understands grief and has learned to transform and make peace, right? Find the middle way. So we thank you, Demeter, for your incredible wisdom tonight. We release you with gratitude. Back to the temple she goes. And then we release the guides and the guardians of the vertical gateway, the lower world, the middle world, the upper world, releasing the vertical channel, thanking all of especially the angels in the higher realms who are with us this evening, guiding us, protecting us, keeping us safe, connecting us to each other. We thank and release the guides and the guardians of the vertical gateway. Don't make me yawn, Lisa Woods. I release energy by yawning. I'm sure I'll be yawning all night. And then we release the guides and the guardians of the north. Thank you for holding our hand tonight. Thank you for that steadiness and patience that you always bring to our ceremonies, helping us to be fully in the moment in our bodies while we have these experiences together, helping us learn how to integrate those experiences so that we can embody this going forward, begin to fill our own well, as we talked about earlier, becoming the ones who see ourselves. That is the intention of this journey. And I think 9 months into this year, I think the guardians of the Northern Gateway would say, you're ready to see you. You are ready to see you. And then once you really see you, everything else unfolds with ease. The hardest part is getting you to see you. It really, truly is. So thank you to the guides in the North. With so much gratitude, we release you this evening. And to the guides and the guardians of the West, thank you for the tears that we cried. Thank you for the energy that we moved. Thank you for this incredible experience of mothering tonight with Demeter, helping us to really have an embodied sense of what it's like to have someone meet us at the place of our pain. And instead of rejecting us, to actually fully support us in that place, in that moment, right? For so many of us, that's a big deal, because for a lot of us, we didn't get met in our place of pain, and that's why we still have this big hole, this wound that nothing fills it, you know? So, cheers and thank you to the guides and the guardians of the West. We release you with gratitude. And to the guides and the guardians of the South, Fire Gateway, thank you for speaking words of courage and bravery to us tonight, to strengthen us in our resolve for the days and the weeks and the months and the years and the journey ahead. We release you with gratitude. And to the guides and the guardians of the East, thank you for much needed clarity, perspective, space to hear, to receive, to understand on a different level maybe tonight. Helping to shape and transform our thoughts now so that they will resonate in alignment with this higher purpose that we hopefully have a deeper understanding of after tonight. 222. That's right. We release the guides and the guardians of the East with gratitude. I'm very grateful to you. Thank you as well. I'm very humbled by this experience. I'll tell you, as a teacher, and I know we're over time, so I won't keep you much longer, but as a teacher, and a lot of you are teachers, so you understand this. I mean, I think all of you are teachers in your own way. We're all teaching somebody something. When you know a year out, you're at least, I mean, it's been longer than that I've been thinking about this, that you're going to do something. When the moment comes, there's this sense of like, am I ready? No, but am I ready? No, but am I ready? Maybe somebody else should do it. And it, I have to say, tonight was what I hoped it would be. It was what I hoped it would be. And so I'm really grateful. And I'm grateful that I got to do this with you. Truly. I see you. I really do. And thank you, Neetu. I really appreciate that. Thank you to all of you. I'm reading your comments and I'm sending so much love back to you, truly, truly. I don't know, Karen Brown. And then when I was really sick, I mean, yesterday before Mabon, I do my best. I really do, because I never like to disappoint anybody. But I was so sick yesterday, you guys. I mean, it was just really bad. And I thought, what if I, can't get through and stuff tonight? So I just feel really blessed because I felt good through the whole day and was able to do this with you. And so anyway, thank you for being here, because it wouldn't have been the same without you. Truly, truly. So this is going to go down as one of my favorite harvest days, you know what I mean? We've had some really beautiful ceremonies together. I love that. Annette's cat came closer during the journey and kind of patted her with her paw. Yeah, I feel better today. I think one more day and I'll be in really good shape. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I see you. I do. And now you see you. And honestly, that's what matters. No one else is ever going to see you the way you'll see you. And I don't know if I believed that, I guess, for a while. Because I always thought, it's better if somebody else sees you, right? Because, me seeing me, it's not as good as you seeing me, right? But I've really come to learn that that actually if I don't see me, nobody else can see me. You know what I mean? It has to start with me. And that's when, at least for me, that was my soul shift. That was my soul shift. Was when I finally realized if I can't do it, I can't expect you to do it. Because you won't be able to get past that barrier. I have to do my own healing first. And then when I can finally say, okay, Athena, I see you. And it's like, whew. And then the irony is, after that happens, you don't need anybody else to see you anymore. Because ultimately, the only one you really wanted to see you in the first place was you. Other people are just like stand-ins, till you are ready. So cheers. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. Thank you, Bonnie. I love you plenty too. When I miss you, I'm going to kiss you soon. I know. And you know what? You guys do see me, and it's really beautiful. And I do see you too. And I will still see you even when I'm just a cherry on your cake. You know what I mean? Even when you don't see me or need me to see you, I'm still going to see you. And you'll be like, well, I don't need you to see me, but it's nice that you see me, kind of thing. I'll still be a cherry on your cake. Yeah, it all, and that'll be the funny thing, one day when we, it's my intention that we'll all be able to spend physical time together. Because no matter how much I love this online stuff, people who've been to the retreats will tell you there is something about me being able to actually see your eyes. And I imagine the conversations that we'll have when we really have that quality time, we're not rushed, and it'll be like, that was a moment. That was a turning of a tide, when I finally realized that I can have all the best teachers in the world and I can have the best education in the world, but all the really important wisdom comes from you. I'm probably at best just a reminder to you of what you already know. It all comes from you. It's really true. All right, I love you. We'll have a retreat next year. Don't you worry about a thing. That is a space, and I am holding it tightly in my hand. We will. We will. All right, you guys. I love you. Have a beautiful rest of your evening. And I probably won't see you a lot tomorrow, but I will see you. I'll check in with you guys either tomorrow or Friday, just to kind of see how you're integrating. And then hopefully you'll join me for bingo on Saturday. Would love to have you there. And like I said, please remind people in the group to do the journey. I think it's an important one. I think this is a portal, and I think it's a little bit of an initiation, a graduation. You know what I mean? This is a step that you took tonight, and I think it's important. So remind them when you can. I'll see you soon. Thank you, Alexa.